Hi everybody, it is Sunday, December 20th. You think I'd remember this by now. I've done 3 videos at least today. It's Sunday, December 20th, 2020 at 10:06 p.m. here in beautiful South San Francisco, California. And you know, we have again 5 more days till Christmas. And for some strange reason, the Spirit moved me to talk tonight about, on camera, a holiday not all that long ago that I had that was very, very different. And kind of traumatic, actually. I mean, I don't know, so much has happened since then. And it happened so quickly that it's hard to, like, for me to sort of, I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be one of those things that I don't know if I'm ever really going to get to process it in the way that I think that I should, or if I've already done processed it as much as it's going to get processed, but and it's the Christmas season that just precipitated my period of homelessness. And I was with my best friend and roommate, Bob, who's like a surrogate father to me. We lived together on Maple Avenue here in South San Francisco from 1998 up until we had to move in 2016. Or in October of 2016, so we had to leave there, so October, November, something like that. And we could only find rent that was affordable with Bob's income in Merced. And I was excited to move out there. He was beginning to come down with Alzheimer's disease, and I did not know it at the time. So his behavior was, he had a difficult time. Like many people that have Alzheimer's, they have a very difficult time leaving familiar surroundings. And of course, he did not want to leave. You know, and most people do too. I mean, we lived there a very long time. I was excited because that house really was in bad shape. And, it just looked so... I loved it because it was our home for a long time, but at the thought of us getting to move into a new place, I thought, hey, and I also like the idea of kind of getting away from the city, and I thought this would be fantastic for us, just like a new kind of like, I didn't feel like I needed necessarily a fresh start, but it was going to be like, oh, this is a nice new kind of a start, just maybe, I was trying to maximize the benefits of being away from the city and stuff like that. And of course, I know drugs are everywhere, so it wasn't like I wasn't banking on that like some people do with the Geographic or anything like that to like keep us away from drugs. But I was like, we have to move, and there's a lot of things to, we need to get to a new area. We had a nice place out there, and so. I remember that we had a Christmas tree, and I just actually, not that long ago, posted a picture of our Christmas tree that year. It only had white lights on it, I believe, and we didn't decorate it. We didn't have much that came with us, because we had to get rid of a lot of stuff, and that was very, very taxing on Bob too, because Bob was very much of a, hoarder, basically. I don't want, hoarders like, if you're talking about not to the point like where you have to walk through like 7-foot pile, you know what I mean? Like literally like that, but bad enough to be like piles in the house of shit that shouldn't be there. You know what I mean? Like we had a stack of cardboard boxes in the living room of VHS tapes that was like this high, that was there for like 12 years. And, it's just, so, but I have to say over time, you live with somebody, you learn how to sort of kind of talk them out of, keeping stuff that needs to go. So it wasn't, I gotta say this. I like my house immaculate, and yeah, I'm really neat about it and stuff like that. But Bob's friendship compared to like being able to have the house neat, Bob's friendship weighs a lot more. A lot more. And so, I miss that a lot. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is that, so we didn't have much when we moved out to this place in Merced. And I was excited about that, honestly, of course, because as I just explained, I was trying to sort of kind of, use this as an opportunity to do, some lighten the load a little bit, and kind of, sprucing things up. We got rid of some old furniture that really needed to go. I mean, because Bob would save that. Bob was the type of guy that he would wear T-shirts that had holes in them, and he would not throw them out. He'd be stained permanently with holes in them, and you know what I mean. He's just the kind of guy he was. I used to try to, But anyway, so I was using it for an opportunity of that. So things were looking up, and I was very excited about this. I had no idea at this time. It's amazing. This is a guy I have known since I was 14 years old, who I live with at Maple Avenue. I want to qualify again, because Maple Avenue around here means something a little bit different. I don't mean Redwood City. I mean living in our house on Maple Avenue in South San Francisco. Maple Street is really what Redwood City is, and that's where the jail is and stuff. So when people say Maple Street or Maple, that oftentimes means something different. So we lived there, almost 20 years. And I had no idea it was about to suddenly come to an end like that. I was never to see him again. I had no idea. It was within a month of us moving out to Merced. All of it suddenly came to an end like that. And I haven't seen him since. And it was right out. I can't remember if it was. I know that I left that apartment and came back here to be homeless on New Year's Day. But I don't remember whether or not we spent the Christmas holiday together, which honestly kind of, shows you how tepid of a holiday it probably would have been. I know that let me explain what happened to the best that I can. I mean, now it all makes sense in hindsight because of his Alzheimer's. That was getting worse. Now, one time, I used to want to bring Bob out with me to this bar called the 17th Street Public House in Merced. Great place, great craft beer place. And we went there, and we met a friend of mine, a couple friends of mine, who would become friends of mine out there in Merced. And Bob got to meet, came along and met. And it was good. Things were just looking good. It was kind of cool. But he was a little bit... Bob liked to socialize, but, and I was aware that he was not wanting to go out as much. It pains me because I didn't see until later it was Alzheimer's. I didn't see, you're with someone every day. Sometimes you just don't see, oh man, I don't know. Anyway, let me try to keep a straight narrative here. So something weird happened. Like one time in 2009, 2010, I had a little bit of a, I went through a rough time. And Bob and I had an argument, and I was like, go ahead, call the police. Go ahead. If you're going to call the police, call the police. And I egged him on to do it. Bob would not call the police on me. Because, first of all, I'm not the type of person that you need to call the police on. But we had one of those it was a fight. You know what I mean? And I was like, no, call the police. Go ahead, call the police. If you think it's going to be a problem, call the police. I had no problem with him doing that, actually, And so he did. That's the only time he's ever called the police on me. I mean, and so here's what happened. One night we were preparing to go out to the 17th Street Public House. And I'm trying to, I can't, we were preparing to go out. or I can't remember if it was just me that was going to go out. I know it was just me at eventually, but I don't know if it started out like we were both going to go out and then he didn't want to go out. And then next thing I know, the cops showed up out of nowhere. We weren't even really, we weren't having a fight or anything. It was just like a normal thing, and it surprised the hell out of me. And he said he didn't call the police. But the cop is saying that he did. And I was like, so I'm really confused by this point. And so, they separate us. And the cop tells me that Bob feels like he's scared. And the cop gives me the indication that he's scared to be around me. Now, I don't understand this because, I've never been physically violent with Bob. We've never had some, it only makes sense later when I understand that he was with the Alzheimer's thing. But at the time, I was like, what? We're like, the odd couple, Bob and I, we've lived together, cohabitated, and had no problem for years, except that one, whatever kind of fight. And then here's this thing going on with a cop showing up, and he's got him, one cop's inside with him, and cops outside with me, and this is all news to me. And I'm finding this out, and so here's what happens, okay? So it escalates, the situation escalates like that. Neither of us are doing this, but what happens is, with this police mediation of the situation, it resulted that by the time I was allowed to go back in the house, Bob had packed up and left and was gone. Forever. And I was left in this apartment with my bed and all my stuff. And I just met this guy actually on Grindr. I just met this kid on Grindr around the corner in the same complex, and we were kind of talking. His name is Joshua, and nice guy. He helped me get through those. I think I was there for maybe a week past this or so. A week past. This was right around Christmas. It's either immediately after or just before or whatever. I can't remember because it was all a blur. Here's what happened. Let me back up to the cop thing. So this thing is this, and this. I'm confused because this cop he doesn't know. He's coming on it looks like a domestic violence thing to him or something like that. And understandably, I'm kind of I don't know how to respond to it because I'm not thinking Alzheimer's, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. What? He's afraid around me? And I was compliant. I was like, okay, I'll stay. I answered all of his questions and all this kind of stuff. And they said, I think it's just best that if you stay off it ended up being, I think it's just best if you stay off the premises till he can leave. He's going to have his adult children come and pick him up, and they're going to take him away. And it was just kind of like I am right now when I think about it, honestly. Kind of like I am right now. The only way it makes sense is, yeah, people do get like that on Alzheimer's. It's true. But it's got to be the most traumatic abandonment I've ever experienced in my life. And I'm glad I didn't feel it as such. I was so kind of numb because I had immediate concerns of what am I going to do? I called my pastor, Debbie, or somebody let her know. I don't, it's amazing how scant the details are on this for me right now. It's weird. I guess because, it was tough. Here I go from living in a house with somebody, right, who's my housemate, who, when I'm sitting alone here, honestly, in this house, I kind of think wow, you'd be proud of me. I wish you were here, But I'm in Merced now, and I'm so glad that I met Joshua. Joshua, I would have been totally alone. I would have been alone. But I mean, it was hard. It was emotionally very hard. That's all I can remember. I don't even remember exactly. I just know that I just remembered I had a moment out in the kitchen when I was making this tea where a glimpse of it came back to me, how I felt when I went outside. I remember on the balcony there in Merced to smoke a cigarette at that time, knowing I was alone in that house. I mean, like for the first time, I was alone. Like, it was not. I'm glad I didn't feel the intensity that I could have felt because Joshua was there a little bit to distract me and to kind of keep me, like, to make sure I was eating and stuff like that, and to, you know, because sometimes when you hit dramatic shit like that, sometimes, you know, in order you keep yourself in the level, and it's like you kind of know how. It was hard. It was hard. But I was soon so pressed with immediate concerns when I came back to the Bay Area that I was able to not sort of really, you know what I mean, to stay in the moment. I don't think I wasn't trying to hide from my feelings about it, but I'm just like kind of like thinking like, how the fuck did I get through that? Wow. I mean, I've lost a lot, you know, every single important person to me, really, that's been really super important to me so far, I've lost without explanation suddenly. My best friend, Bob, just like that. I mean, just who could have known? Who could have known? I still like. I'm still baffled by how much of a blur it is, even now, that I met Bob in 1994, and that a relationship that could continue with another human being from 1994 till 2016 could end like that, and you could have very little clear memory of how that went down. I mean, I accept that it does, and I know that it does anecdotally from other people, but like, wow. And it was right around this time of year. It was right around this time of year. It hurts to lose a friend, like somebody that's that close to you. And I talked to him a couple times after that. But he was very, very cryptic. I said, will I ever see you again? He's like, well, no, I don't think so. I just miss him a lot, you know? And I just also thought that I should kind of reflect on my feelings of, you know, this year, because it's kind of like the anniversary of that. And I just thought it might be good to kind of get it out and kind of contrast a little bit and just share a little bit about myself with other people. I like, you know, I think that's a good thing. It's good for me. And I think it might help some other people out there in some way. Another big bombshell that happened, this is kind of a separate sort of thing, but another big deal was finding was learning that my pastor Debbie was retiring and would no longer be the vicar of Sea Episcopal Church. That was very difficult for me. It kind of came out of nowhere. You know, because when I showed up there, she was she had just become the priest in charge at that point. And my whole knowledge of that place, my whole identity in that place was wrapped up in her being a part of that. And I know that, pastors come and go, and it's true and stuff like that. But, we're talking like I show up in October of 2010 is when I showed up, and then she retired this past last April. And it just kind of hit me like a wall of bricks. And I'll tell you, I know that she probably thought that mentally I was just kind of gone from, not kind of there, spiritually grounded there. And that is true because I wasn't attending church the last several years. But I don't think it's like she thought. I think that she kind of thought that I was like kind of just gone for good, and that the Justin that was there at one time was just like that was a distant memory and gone. That Justin no longer existed. I think that's why I want her to see so much of what I'm doing now. It's like I want her to know that that's not the case. But I know it's not about me that she left. I know she's got her own reasons for leaving. But I remember the day that I last saw her in person. I think I was doing some work in the parking lot or something like that. I believe, maybe not. I don't know. I was did a lot of yard work after she left, though. I can tell you that. I like to do yard work there, and I intend to go back actually and continue doing yard work there because it really does bring me calm. Those grounds are very serene for me, and it's like something special goes on there for me. I almost feel like right now, if I went back there, I would cry. But anyway, she had she had packed the last of the stuff in her car. We're in the parking lot, and we're just having just like a concluding chat or whatever. And she spilled some paint on the driveway, and I said I would clean it up. And I did, But when she left there, the silence was deafening for me. And it was in the weeks after that. All I could keep doing is like every time I looked at that place, I'm not saying I was walking around like, about to kill myself or anything like that. But what I'm saying is that I felt the emptiness of her there. Like, I could not walk around that place and go, wow, Debbie's not here anymore. Now I could after a while, like when practical, you know what I mean? When you have like, I gotta stop my car, I have to, I have to go somewhere like that. I could stay in the moment, but like there were many moments. And I had times where, of course, because I did a lot of yard work after she left, and I just had these kind of moments of thinking like it's kind of just weird that it sort of sucks really that like I was doing it then, kind of like when it was like too late. I guess it's not too late, but I don't know if that makes sense. If just somebody can kind of grasp what I mean by that. So that's a sense of loss. But the Lord has given me like great joy though, and ability to kind of like to a lot of people, have losses like that and are a lot more traumatized, honestly, you know what I mean? And I'm glad that I'm at least, I'm glad that I'm on here right now and I'm talking about this. You know what I mean? It's a quiet holiday this year. And in a way, it doesn't feel all that different from the quietness of that apartment that I was in after Bob left, in a way, which is a little unsettling. But I remember everything I've been praying about and everything I've been talking about. And there is hope, and I know that I'm going to be all right, but it's okay to be bleak for a minute. And there's a little bit of bleakness here, but there's not despondency. But there's trial, and there's a lot of quiet. Not all of it loved, but not all of it, eschewed either. I'm glad I can share some of myself with you, because it helps me grow. I think right now, that's all I'm kind of moved to say right now. We talk about this a little bit later, but I'm going to upload this. It's kind of weird. I wish I could. I don't know. I feel strangely unfulfilled about kind of getting. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I wanted to get more off my chest, and I don't know what it was that I wanted to get off. Maybe I did, and I just have to kind of step back a little bit. I don't know. A lot of things are like that. I think that's something that Debbie would say to me, honestly, and she'd be right. She'd be right. She's one of the biggest spiritual influences in my life. It was very hard to lose her. And Bob, I don't know, I just like, I'm still kind of agape about it a little bit. I feel I have memories. I remember the good, but I feel like there's a certain amount of pain that hasn't hit me in that situation yet. Or, I mean, maybe, I don't know. You know how, like, when you feel numb to a situation, you're like, there's more, you know what I mean? It's almost like if if you were to cut your leg off and you didn't feel like, you know what I mean? You kind of, I don't know. You sort of have it, even if you've never had your leg cut off before, like, you sort of imagine, like, there's a certain minimum level of pain that goes with that experience at some point, whether it's not, even if it's not immediate, like, within the hour of it happening, let's say. Like, and I feel like I haven't fully gotten that experience yet. Even I've had my leg cut off, but I haven't, you know what I mean? Where's the due fallout from that? Where's the due emotional fallout from that? And I mean, I don't know. And that kind of makes me grieve a little bit too, because I feel like I'm sort of robbed of grieving somebody that has been the most important person in my life, my adult life. Most important influence in me, best friend I've ever had. I can see some of him and me with a little bit, there's just like little things, little things that I'm so proud, honestly. I'm so proud. As much as, you know what I mean? There's things about Bob, like, I'm not down for the hoarding shit, but there's so many, like, things that are part of me from him that I am so proud of. I love that man so much. He used to say to me, "You're going to miss me when I'm gone. You're going to miss me when I..." And I used to tell him, I know that, Bob. I know. And I'm glad that I knew. You know what I mean? I think that maybe that's, interestingly enough, the last several years, especially after I returned to the church in 2010. I came back to church in 2010 after being away for quite a while. And that sort of made me, you know what I mean? That changed my perspective in many ways. And one of the ways that it did is to make me cherish the time, to realize that Bob was going to be around forever. You know what I mean? He was getting older. And to sort of take a look at our relationship and really hold dear to, like, the moment. And I did that. And I, maybe that has something to do with things. I mean, I know that I'm grateful for that because it kept me from doing a lot of things, you know what I mean? I avoided a lot of potential fights and stuff like that later I could have looked back and said, why did I do that? I don't have any of those. I really, the last several years we were together, I made a much greater effort on us having quality time. And I didn't know, because I didn't know. I just wanted, I love Bob, and you know what I mean? And I got older, I came back to church, and that kind of turned my focus toward a lot of things that, a lot more of the, meaningful things in life. And I just did, and it was just kind of a natural progression of that. And I'm glad that I did, because I didn't know that he was going to be ripped away from me so quickly. So, I'm going to upload this for what it is right now. I have to go pee anyway, so that's a good time to end it. Thanks for listening. And if you're not listening, well, I'm glad whatever. All right. Merry Christmas, everybody. And honestly, if you're feeling trouble, if you feel, do what I'm doing right now. Turn on a camera and talk and post on YouTube. You know what I mean? It's good to get stuff out. It is very therapeutic. The more you bare your soul, the more strength you gain. It seems counterintuitive because we're always trying to hide our vulnerabilities from people, because there are people out there trying to take advantage of our vulnerabilities. But trust in the fact that God will strengthen you. The more you give, the stronger you get. of yourself. Don't be afraid. That I can say with confidence. I wouldn't be doing this here right now. I wouldn't be doing it. I'm doing it specifically for that reason. Because it is engendering better emotional health. You know what I mean? It's helping me grow. And that's why I'm doing it. Otherwise, fuck it. I wouldn't. Like, why? You know what I mean? What would be the point? I mean, I might occasionally, but I wouldn't be making such a persistent effort as I have been. And the reason I'm doing that is because it is good for the soul. And it also, I hope will also help me connect with other people as well. Indirectly. I'm not saying I'm not trying to look for people to like. I'm not trying to, have people message me and start friendships necessarily. But what I mean is maybe somebody will hear my words and something will help them, and I would really like that. Actually, that's more what I'm going for. I'm really not trying to solicit friendships from the internet or anything like that. So, anyway, have a good night. Do my little Nixon thing. All right, Merry Christmas, everybody. Thanks.